Shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Racha Kodash. Welcome. I'd like to start off to another live lesson. The name of this one is called "The Earth Also Was Defiled Under the Inhabitants Thereof." What you're seeing before you is a fair use notice. This video is intended for educational purposes. It is not intended for any monetary gain whatsoever. It's just for educational purposes. I was watching this video here, the Corbett report, and I was just listening to it because it was a link that sent me here. I was going through some articles and the link sent me here, and the name of this video is called "Guess Who's Growing Your Meat?" And this is dated April 30th 2020, year of prophecy, which is approximately 4 or 5 days ago. And they were talking about Tyson, and talking about how the food chain supply is pretty much breaking down, and how everything's being disrupted. So now, lo and behold, as we're gonna hear this individual here speak, he's gonna break down what this plant Tyson has been doing and who's behind that whole thing. With what's going on. So like I'm a little scatterbrained. It's just so much information. Just hoping that this will be an edifying lesson. But pretty much that's what's happening right now as we speak. They're destroying livestock. They're destroying chickens. Cow, bulls, all kind of animals that people eat. And they're shutting plants down because of so-called COVID-19 and many different things that are happening. And instead of that, and I heard this before, they're bringing in a meat substitute. Now, this meat substitute, I've heard it somewhere else before that they're trying to get people away from meat and get them to a meat substitute. If you brothers watched the movie 1984, in the movie 1984, there was a scene when they were in the mess hall, lunchroom, whatever you want to call it, and they were there speaking, and they were given slop, and they were given some kind of clear liquid in a bottle, and they sat down, and it was pretty much like a broth with these blocks or these chunks of something that was in it. And the fat guy told him, "Are you gonna eat that?" And he took it from him because the dude didn't eat it. He said it was too rich for him. And he said, "I know it's not meat at all." And so in other words, he knew it wasn't meat, but it looked like meat, it tastes like meat. So this is supposed to be a future totalitarian government, and the people that were there were subjected to whatever the government gave them. And one of the things was it really didn't have no meat. When you watch the movie The Matrix, remember they were eating that slop. When Cyrus made the deal with the Agent Smith, he was eating a steak. He said, "I know this is not really a steak. I know it's not really juicy, but I don't want to. I don't remember nothing. I don't want to remember nothing." So, and somebody else had mentioned that they're pushing. This is why, you see so many meatless stuff out there. We're gonna get into it. I don't want to jump the gun. So let's listen to what this individual is saying, and I'm gonna stop it at a certain point when he, when you see that the Tyson, that big manufacturing company, they're behind that, and watch who one of the main advocates and one of the main backers for this whole meatless thing and growing meat in factories is. So let's listen.
We've got that story plus even more monkey-wrenching the New World Order. But first, Bill Gates worked to end livestock production and pushed lab-grown meat.
So once again, this devil, Bill Gates, Satan himself, is pushing to end livestock production. And this is why they killed so many cows and, you know, chickens and all of that. Because they're trying to make a meat shortage so that they can push out lab-grown meat, which they have been doing anyway. You know, this Impossible Burger and the Impossible Meat and the meatless this and the meatless that. This is all something that they've been pushing. And this is not something that just happened in 2020, the year of prophecy. This goes back some time, you know, when they really started pushing this thing out. But so they had a plan from back then to do this. And like I said, when you watch that movie, 1984, there was no meat in that movie. All it was this block of something that they would give in this soup type thing that you would have to eat as something to sustain you. All right, so listen up.
Coming from the fine folks at activistpost.com, Bill Gates and food giant Tyson heavily backed lab-grown meat research as the U.S., of course, faces...
Who knows what the hell that is? They're growing this shit in the lab, man. Who knows what the fuck that is? What the fuck is that?
Unprecedented meat shortages due to processing plants going offline in, of course, response to the COVID outbreak.
And they did that on purpose. They closed these plants down. Everything. Look, these devils have made a genius stroke with this COVID-19. So that's how you know that these devils, they plan. You know, the scriptures speak about. Let's go real quick before we go back to that. Let's go to Psalm 64. I just want to get a point there. You know, these devils are very astute, very in wickedness, should I say. They're very calculative. You know, they know exactly what they're doing. This is Psalms 64 and 6. They search out iniquities. They search out iniquities. So they turn every rock, every stone. They dot their I's. They cross their T's. They leave no stone unturned. They look under every rock. They look under everything. And they search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. So these devils have been busy. This thing has been in the planning. They're spending tons and tons of money on getting this agenda off the ground. Because eventually they know that all that wealth is going to be turned over unto them. But they don't expect that the Most High is going to come and throw a monkey wrench in their plans. It says both the inward thought of every one of them. The inward thought, not what they tell you outwardly. The inward thought of every one of them, and the heart, meaning the mind, is deep. All right? Their heart is deep. You got the word aimak, deep, mysterious, depth. So it's a mysterious thing. So they're telling you one thing out the side of their mouth, but they're doing something totally different. I'm sorry, let's go back. It's Psalms 55. It says, Psalms 55 and 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And this is why they've been telling people, don't worry, you're still going to be able to do this. You're still going to be able to do that. You're still going to be able to go to the pharmacy. You're still going to be able to go to the grocery stores, to the supermarkets. Don't worry. Just keep that social distance and keep the mask on. Which I was watching this other individual, which is true. He was saying that wearing that mask, that doctor wearing that mask pretty much deprives your mind of oxygen and your body of oxygen. So where you're already not thinking clearly because of the so-called pandemic, and you're nervous, and then that mask blocks your oxygen to where you're getting less oxygen into your brain, into your body, and you're not thinking clearly to begin with. Then you deprive yourself of oxygen. So guess what? You know? So he said the words of his mouth are smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, because they have an alternative or ulterior motive behind what they're doing, right? It says, so this is IMAC for deep, deep, mysterious depths, deep, unsearchable. So they're telling you one thing out of their mouth, but they're doing something totally different. That's why it says they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them. Not what they say. That's what the scripture say, never trust thine enemy. And the heart is deep. All right, so keep that in mind. So now let's go back. Now this blew my mind when I saw this part here, which it didn't at first because I was just watching it. But then let's get to it.
A long-standing globalist agenda to halt meat consumption is now being fulfilled.
Yeah, see, so they're trying to halt meat consumption and grow meat in the lab. So you saw that little thing that they took out to create this. So who knows what the hell is all in those Beyond Burgers and all that other crap. Let's go.
All the other police state dreams are being fulfilled just magically. Tyson Foods recently warned that the food supply chain is breaking. Lockdowns have created a situation in which farmers have nowhere to send their product.
Yeah, and that was all done systematically.
And in turn, millions of animals are being slaughtered, wasted.
Because that's what they want.
Vegetables that would normally end up on store shelves are rotting in the field. Lab-grown meat producers are hoping that the COVID-19 outbreak could boost public acceptance, as Bill Gates was working to establish a worldwide digital ID system prior to
worldwide digital ID system prior to this.
The pandemic. That would be ID 2020.
Right, and that goes into what? Into the mark of the beast, 666, where they want to track everybody.
He's also working to end meat production and funding lab-grown meat.
Ending meat production and funding lab-grown meat.
2019 report, I think it was by TechCrunch, said that lab-grown meat was projected to hit the store shelves by 2022.
Right.
And we do have a...
By 2022. Let's go back. Now, this stuck in my mind, 2022. Now, I was, as I was putting the lesson together, I listened to more of that. I listened to about maybe a little more than half of this video. But for some reason, this stuck in my mind. And before I got started, a few thoughts came to mind. Let me get the fair use notice, and this movie popped in my mind. The movie Soylent Green. You brothers haven't seen that movie, I suggest you watch it. I got to watch it again. It's been a long time since I watched it. But in that movie, spoiler alert, so if you don't want to hear it, either plug your ears or turn off the sound for a minute and then come back. But in the movie Soylent Green, what it was an alternative to meat, from what I remember, and at the end of the movie, Salaki, I'm going to spoil it, so you might want to plug your ears up. At the end of the movie, they found out that the meat that they were eating was actually human flesh. And so I went and I looked for, just a picture of it, of the movie itself, just so I can show it on this. And when I saw what they wrote up for that movie, right? The summary of it, and I made sure when I saw it, I said, let me make sure that this is the right movie, make sure that this is not a newer version. And I saw Charlton Heston. So he was the one back, I believe that was in the 70s sometimes when that came out. So I said, okay, this is the actual movie. And when I saw that, it shit blew my mind because I thought back on this. So now this is the movie Soylent Green. Charlton Heston, Lee Taylor Young, Soylent Green. Right? Now look at all these people being put into this thing, to this machine. It's like a big grinder, right? It says it's the year what? 2022. It's the year 2022. People are still the same. They'll do anything to get what they need, and they need Soylent Green, which is that lab-grown meat, which is what you see the people here being put in this grinder. It's the year 2022. And what did they say? They said lab-grown meat could be on store shelves by 2022. So this is not a coincidence. And this movie, Soylent Green, let's see. Soylent Green. Make me want to go watch that movie now. Soylent Green. 1973. So that movie Soylent Green came out in 1973. And what is it now? 2020? As you can see it, 1973. Soylent Green. Charlton Heston, right? And what year is it now? It's 2020. So 1973 from 1920, I mean from 2020 is what? That's 20, 30, 40, about 47 years ago. And then within 2 more years, as they're saying, they want to bring in this meatless, lab-grown meat, you know, to the people, to the public. You know, so that would be actual like 49 years. So these devils, man, they've been hard at work, man. These devils they are the devil that the Bible speaks of. Point blank, period, end of sentence. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No rebuttals, nothing. You can't say a goddamn thing. You need to shut your damn mouth up and learn, or go somewhere in the corner and wait for the missiles, or wait for whatever death the Lord got for you, because you cannot, with all this information out there that's out there about this devil and the things that they're doing, if you can't see that this man is a goddamn devil that the Bible speaks of, I don't know what to tell you. So look at that, man. Soylent Green, Charlton Heston, 1973. In the year 2022, people are still the same. They'll do anything to get what they need, and they need Soylent Green. Lab-grown meat could be on store shelves by 2020, thanks to future meat technologies. Oh wow, what a hell of a, you know. Oh, and then what I did also was I went back to see when this shit started. You know, when they started making this stuff. From what I gathered, just as far as the Impossible Meat is concerned, it's 2011. Impossible Foods was founded in 2011 by Patrick O'Brown, MD, PhD, to end the use of animals to make food. Instead, we aim to make meat, dairy, and fish directly from plants. You know, but now they want to grow it in labs, you know? So who knows what the hell that is? And that's why the name of the lesson is called the earth. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, which goes to the scripture which we're going to get in Isaiah 24, start at 4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away, the world languisheth and fadeth away. Why? Because the individuals that are running this world are running it to the ground, you know, and they're not giving the earth enough time to replenish itself, because the earth has its own immune system, but it needs time to replenish itself. It needs certain minerals and nutrients to replenish itself, just like the body needs certain minerals and nutrients to replenish itself, because we are from the earth. You know, this is why you have worms. Worms' only function is to eat, and then when they defecate, that shit that comes out of them goes back into the earth and refertilizes the earth to give it the proper minerals and nutrients that it needs. Just like the body, you know, needs minerals and vitamins and, you know, different things, amino acids and all that to function. And this is why so many people are sick. This is why so many people have chronic diseases and problems, because the body is deficient, because this devil that's ruling is not giving the people that. But then they'll have their nature paths, you know, and they'll take their supplements and herbs and all that, but they won't give that to the public, you know, even though it's still out there, but they're cracking down on all of that stuff, man. So it says, the earth mourneth and fadeth away, the whole world languisheth and fadeth away, the haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof. Let's look up this word defiled. Defiled. Chanap. Oh, I'm sorry. Chanap. To be profaned, be defiled, be polluted, be corrupt. So it's polluted, defiled, corrupt. Just another scripture came to mind. Let me get this real quick, and then we'll go back. All right. So it's to be profane, be defiled, be polluted, be corrupt. To be polluted, to be profane, be godless. And that's why it's profaned. That's why it's destroyed. That's why it's falling apart, because it's being godless, being without the Most High. And what did the Lord tell Cain? Let's go back to Genesis 4. Genesis 4 and 6. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, see, if you are God-fearing, if you are Most High-fearing or power-fearing, shall thou not be accepted? Yeah, because if you're accepted, then your offerings and your sacrifices will be accepted. You would have the right frame of mind to conduct yourself properly, morally. You'll be able to follow instructions, but you can't follow instructions because it's not in your makeup. It's not in your DNA. Let's go here real quick and we'll jump back. Psalms 50 and 16. It says, but unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee? See? So these devils cast the word behind them because it's not given to them. So going back to their predecessor, or progenitor, even though he was destroyed, his descendants were destroyed during the flood, they came back through a man named Esau. And that same spirit that was in Cain is the same spirit that's in Esau and the Edomites today. If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? Yes, so if you're power-fearing, will you not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, meaning if you don't do the right thing, if you're profane, if you're defiled, if you're godless, sin lieth at the door. See? And this is why sin lieth at the door. This is why they're known as the wicked. They are the personification of sin in the flesh. From the way they look to the way they think. Let's go from there to Psalms, same book, Psalms 58 and 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. So before they're even born, when they're conceived in the womb, before they even have the ability to discern right from wrong, they are already wicked. They are already estranged. They already are not going to follow the ways of the Lord. They are already not going to follow the instructions of the Bible. Because that's the spirit that's in them. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear. Because you have the prophets out here. This is why in the parable that Yahushua spoke, where he told the rich man, look, they have Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them. You see? And they're not going to listen. Because they are the deaf adder that stoppeth their ear, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely, because the prophets charm very wisely through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua B'Hashem B'Chakodash. You see? Because that's where the inspiration comes from. But they're not gonna get that. All right, so let's go back to Genesis. So it says, if thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted, and if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. But since you didn't do the right thing, what happened? Sin rules over you. Satan rules over you. That's your daddy. Sin. Let's go from there to I want to hold on to that. So let me get another. Let's go from there real quick to 1 John 3. And let's start at, just go straight to the point. 1 John 3 and 12. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one. See? So Cain was of the wicked one. His desire was to who? To that wicked one. Which was who? The spiritual demon Satan. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother. See? And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous. So they're not going to do the right thing. And that's the spirit, bro. That's the spirit. Put the same. That's totally the spirit. And that's a good one too. Long Beach Israelite. Hebrews 12:16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For you know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. Now I want to go and look up that word profane there. That's Hebrews 12. Because that opens up, man, just looking up that one word. In Isaiah 24:5, the word defiled. It says to be godless. You find the word ungodly. And it comes up 82 times in the scriptures. So let's go back. Where were we? Hebrews 12 and 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau. Let's look up the word fornicator, which is the word pornos, where it says a man who prostitutes his body to another's lust for hire. A male prostitute, a man who indulges in unlawful sexual intercourse, a fornicator, you know, and also a fornicator could be a spiritual fornicator, someone that sells his philosophies, his doctrines, his deities to be worshipped by other people, his ideas, his ideologies. You know, this is why the Lord speaks about Babylon and says that Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, who made all the world drunken. So what is America, which is Babylon the Great, making the world drunken by? Her philosophies. You know, her democracy, her Christianity or Roman Catholicism, you know, her do as thou wilt spirit, and that's all a part of that cup. You know, but it begins with their philosophies, them saying you have the freedom of religion. You know, in other words, you have the freedom to do whatever you want, to worship and pray to whoever you want, to bow down to whoever you want. And the Lord said, you shall have no other gods before me. You know, yeah, you nations do whatever you want. But you Israelites, so-called Negros, Latinos, and Native American Indians, you ain't supposed to be worshiping anything you want. You ain't supposed to be eating anything you want. Because you belong to the Most High. The Most High purchased us. So we belong to the Most High. So we can't do whatever we want to do. This is why the Lord gave us laws, statutes, and commandments to separate us from these nations, which is what made us holy. We're not holy because we just the baddest people on the planet. No, we're holy because, which the Lord calls us saints, because the Lord gave us his laws, statutes, and commandments, which separated us from those other nations. And that's what made us holy. Not any deed that we do. All right, so now let's go back and let's look up the word profane. Profane person, bebelos. Accessible, lawful to be trodden, of places profane, unhallowed, common, public place of men, ungodly. See, they're ungodly. And when you look up the word profane, it means outside of the temple. And when you look it up in the Common Dictionary, it says relating or devoted to that which is not sacred or biblical, secular rather than religious. So pretty much this definition pretty much personifies Esau. You know, relating or devoted to that which is not sacred or biblical, because the Bible is the measuring stick, and this is why we read. What we got here? This is why we read in Revelation chapter 11 and 1, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod. What is this reed like unto a rod? That's a measuring stick. Now, what is that measuring stick? That measuring stick is the scriptures. It says, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of the Most High. Who is the temple of the Most High? We are. How do you measure the temple of the Most High? By teaching. It says, and the altar, because the altar represents what? The priests, the prophets, the men that are pushing the word, exalting the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and them that worship therein. And who are the ones that worship therein? The Israelites. It says, but the court which is without the temple, leave out. No, and measure it not. Meaning don't measure, don't teach them. That's why the Lord told the disciples, go not into the way of the Gentiles, into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It says, for it is given unto the Gentiles, the other nations. This is now vocab can jump up and say, yeah, that's talking about you're right. This one is talking about the nations out there. This ain't the Israelite foreigners. And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 40 and 2 months. So pretty much that's given unto the nations, the outside. They can't come in because they're profane outside of the temple. Just like Esau is profane outside of the temple, relating or devoted to that which is not sacred or biblical, secular rather than religious, which really should be secular rather than spiritual. Not religious, because religion is man-made. Secular rather than spiritual. So going back, We read that. Got that. So let's go back to... All right, we read that. So what was the other scripture? Okay, here. So the earth is defiled, profane, be godless. So that's what they are. They are godless. They're godless people. All right, so going back, let's read that again. The earth also was defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws. The transgression of the laws is what? The breaking of the law. They have the law, but they're not keeping the law. They're breaking it. Because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance. So they changed the laws. The Lord said, 6 years shall you farm your land, and on the 7th year you shall let the land rest. Elder Apostle Gabar from time to time goes into that. You know, the land Sabbath that you don't keep. You know, the Lord said, if you have 2 men that lay down with each other, they're supposed to be put to death. 2 women that lay down with each other, they're supposed to be put to death. But what do? You give them rights. You allow them to get married. You protect them with your laws. To where if you say anything or you look at them the wrong way, you know, or show any form of dislike to their way of life, you could be hit with a hate crime. Now you weigh it out in the balance. You people out there, if you have half a brain in your head, you weigh it out. Is that righteous or is that wicked? It says broken the everlasting covenant, because there's nothing sacred to these devils. It says, therefore hath the curse devoured the earth. And this was a curse that was put on Cain. I mean, Adam was cursed too. You know, the earth was cursed for Adam's sake too. But that curse went on Cain, which later came back as Esau. Matter of fact, let's go. Let me just go to... All right, I'm just going to go straight to the point. Genesis 4:12. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. And this is what you see going on today. So this really, it happened back then. But remember, the earth was destroyed by the flood. It's really happening now under the rulership of who? These Edomites, Esau. It says a fugitive, which is one who flees from justice, and a vagabond, which is a traveler, shalt thou be in the earth. And who's the biggest fugitive and vagabond on the planet? By process of elimination is Esau, you so-called white people. So you could understand. Okay, so Isaiah 24:6. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth. So there's been there's a curse on this earth. And the inhabitants of the earth are defiling it. They're causing they're causing it to go further and further into that curse, to be further and further deteriorated. Let's go real quick to Psalms 82:5. They know not, neither will they understand. This is dealing with Esau. Because why don't they understand? Because it's not given unto them to understand. Let's go to Daniel 12:10. It says, many shall be purified and made white and tried. Who's that? This is talking about the elect. But the wicked shall do wickedly. Who is the wicked? Esau. You can read that in the book of Malachi, the 1st chapter. So they're going to do wickedly. And none of the wicked shall understand. Understand what? Understand these prophecies, understand these mysteries of this book. It says, but the wise shall understand, meaning the elect. Because even among Israel, you have 2/3 that are in America that are not going to get it. They're going to be destroyed. They're going to reject this because they have the same mind frame as Esau. That's why they've been numbered to the sword. That's why 2/3 breaks down to 66.6, which is the number of the beast, 666. Any way you slice it, man, it comes out 2/3, 666. All right? So none of the wicked shall understand. So Psalms 82:5, they know not, neither will they understand. Why? Because if they understood, they could amend their ways. But they cannot amend their ways because that's what they were created for. You cannot try and make a righteous man out of a wicked individual. This is Jeremiah 13:23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin? No. I mean, today they could do that because, you know, you got that bleaching shit that they got These devils, you know, they like Yahushua spoke about turning one hair from gray to black. You can't do that on your own, except you put some goddamn coloring in your hair, whatever that shit's called. You know? Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? And you know the leopard can't change his spots around. I'm tired of him. I need some black on this side. You know, they can't change the spots around on them. It says, then may you also do good that are accustomed to doing evil. Because you were born that way. You were born to do evil. You were created to be the wicked. Let's go from there to Proverbs, and we'll go back 16 and 4. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Now there's another scripture like this, similar to this. I'm not sure exactly where it is, and I can't really remember how it's worded, but it goes perfect with this. It's a perfect precept to go to this right here, you know. So the Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. You know, so Esau was created to be the wicked. You know, he was created to be the wicked. Pues hermano, tiene video allá afuera de los hermanos que están en LA, están en Chicago, que están en México, en Centroamérica, Sudamérica, que hablan español. Yo sé que usted tiene esas páginas en YouTube. So usted puede ver los videos con ellos para poder entender, you know, las lecciones. Estamos hablando de la misma cosa. Okay? Yeah, I just told, you know, the individual put a comment, Shalom, I wish I knew the English language so I could understand. And I told him, you know, you have brothers out there that have different videos in Spanish, you know, and you know, from the different camps, you know, all throughout South America, Central America, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Mexico, you know, in the States, you know. And we had a page, you know, it got hijacked. You know, I got it back. You know, I've been uploading some of the old lessons. You know, I mean, the Spirit hasn't really been on me like that to do Spanish lessons. But if the Spirit, you know, gives me the inspiration, and I'll do some more. So let's go from there back to Jeremiah 13:23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil. And the word accustomed is the word lamawad, which is where you get the word lamad, which is learned. Because it's already bred in them to do wickedness. Taught, learned, discipled, taught, accustomed to something. You know? And their whole life is spent, Esau's whole life is spent on perfecting wickedness. Our whole life is spent on perfecting righteousness. And those are the two total opposites that were in Rebekah's womb. You know, Jacob and Esau. One was righteous and the other one was wicked. All right, so let's see. Psalms 82:5. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. Let's look up those two words. Foundations is mawasad. Foundation, just don't say too much. Meaning the whole earth. And then course. Mawat. To totter, shake, slip. To totter, shake, slip. To be shaken, be moved, be overthrown. To dislodge, let fall, drop. To be greatly shaken. So everything is out of course. It's not in the way it should be. And this is why things are not running the way they're supposed to. This is why the earth is suffering the way it is. This is why the earth is rising up against Esau. This is why the people are sick. And they're making them more sick with vaccines, with this garbage food, you know, with all manner of wickedness, man. The chemtrails in the air, the water being polluted. I mean, everywhere you turn, there's something that's attacking the immune system. You know, from the fumes to the pollution to Everything that we do in this life, it attacks our immune system. And the foods that we eat do not have enough nutrients to replenish that. That's why one of the scriptures that Elder Apostle Gabar always quotes is, it is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed. And that is the truth. And this is why Yahweh Shai has to come with healing in his wings to come and deliver us. All right. So now let's see, what else do we have? Okay, that was it. Isaiah 24:6. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. And this is why America is going to be totally destroyed. This is why Esau's kingdom is going to be totally annihilated and taken down, because they have destroyed everything. Matter of fact, let's go to Daniel 7:25. It says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. See? So that's what they've done. They've changed times and they've changed laws. They said that this is a God-fearing country. In God we trust. You see it on the money, you see it in the court systems. But then when you check the Most High's laws in contrast with his laws, they don't match up. They're the total opposite. It's like reading the Bible and reading the Talmud. The Bible is a wholesome, holy book. The Talmud is filthy wickedness. It's a total opposite. And that's what reading Esau's laws, most of his laws are, especially nowadays. All right, so, and they shall be given into his hand for a time, and the dividing of times. So I think I got that. Went through that. So now let's go back to Psalm 64:6. We'll end it with this. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. See? So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And all men that shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. So the Lord is going to take these devils down. And those that see how this devil is operating and that he is the devil, they're going to flee away from him. It says, the righteous shall be glad in the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. Because the Lord is going to avenge us on these devils. You know, Revelation 18:20. It says, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High hath avenged you on her. So we're supposed to be rejoicing when we see this whole falling. You know, and this is why, you know, when we see things happening, you know, we get excited because we know that we're getting closer and closer for this place to be brought down. Because unless this place is brought down, we're not going to be able to be delivered. The Lord has to first destroy this kingdom to be able to deliver us to set up the next kingdom. Because two kings cannot sit on one throne. You know, Yahweh Shai is the ultimate king underneath the Most High that's going to sit on the throne of the earth. And Esau and the other nations can't be ruling while Yahweh Shai is ruling. And they won't be ruling. It says, and the mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And thank goodness for that. You know, so pretty much, you know, you brothers could watch the rest of this video. I'll put it in the description box. This is Guess Who's Growing Your Meat, and it was sponsored by Bill Gates and Tyson Foods. They're working on a meat substitute. It's lab-grown meat, could be on store shelves by 2022. I thought about the movie. The Spirit put it in my mind. Think about that movie Soylent Green. And then when I looked up the movie Soylent Green, which came out in 1973, Soylent Green, it says, in the year 2022, people are still the same. They'll do anything to get what they need, and they need Soylent Green. So they wanted this to be so. You see, by 2022. And this movie came out about 47 years ago. And you see a big Looks like a big meat grinder and bunch of people being thrown in there and grounded up. And the one dude said, "Don't eat the meat." He said, "Why? It's human meat." You know, so if you brothers get a chance, if you could find this movie, you should watch it. So with that, you know, I pray that your brothers have been edified, you know, until the next time I say Shalom. Went through that. So now let's go back to Psalm 64 and 6. We'll end it with this. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded.